It is said that only 1% of the world's population has ever competed in a marathon. Only 9 marathons worldwide have more than 10,000 runners at the finish line. With a world's population of almost 8 billion people, that's not exactly a lot. This leads us to the question: what motivates people to run a marathon? Why do people set themselves the goal of running 42 kilometers or 26 miles and train for months to achieve it? Feel free to write your answer in the comments if you have already ran a marathon once or more often. Why do we set goals in the first place? Behind every action that a person undertakes is a desire to feel a certain way. We go to work because the money we earn makes us feel financially secure. We lie on the beach on vacation because we want to feel relaxed. We go to the doctor because we want to feel healthy. But why do we walk? Why do we run? Basically, most human actions are driven by the desire to be happy and successful. But what does happiness actually mean? The K.W.N. dictionary defines happiness as a pleasant and joyful state of mind in which one finds oneself when one comes into possession or enjoyment of something that one has desired. A state of inner satisfaction and elevation. And what does success mean? Success is the gradual realization of a desirable goal. And what could be better suited to the gradual realization of a goal than the goal of running a marathon, which you literally achieve step by step until you finally cross the finish line after 42 kilometers or 26 miles. But what makes the goal worth striving for? This question leads us back to the question of why do we run? Why do we run a marathon? I personally run a marathon because I'm healthy and can run a marathon, can do sports, because it has a positive influence on my fellow human beings, because it strengthens both my body and my mind and makes me better equipped for all the tasks that life throws at me, because I want to find out what I am capable of, because it makes me more self-confident. And above all, the second reason I just mentioned is also the reason why I made this video. Because I inspire and enthuse other people through it, just as I was inspired and enthused by other people. Because in life, it's not so much what we do that matters, but how we do it. Preferably with a lot of enthusiasm. That's why in this video we are not going to go into the facts and figures about my marathon preparation, which I did in 4 weeks. You will find the link to a video in the description where I mention everything that I did in the preparation. But now let's watch a video of the day of the marathon. I will tell you how it went, and then we will talk about how the marathon changed me in the aftermath and how it will change you too if you set yourself a worthwhile goal that you realize step by step.
Guten Tag!
It all started on the morning of October the 8th in Lindau. The sun was shining, as you can see, and I'm in a great mood. I ran the 3-country marathon, which runs through Germany, Austria and Switzerland. I came up with the idea just 4 weeks earlier in a conversation I had with my friend Oliver. Here you can see me talk in German, or better said, hear me talk in German. Shortly before the start, I lined up near the pacemaker of 4 hours. And off we went. Running a time of just under 4 hours with only 4 weeks of training was of course an ambitious goal, especially if, like me, you've never run farther than the half marathon distance of 21 kilometers or 13 miles before. I only knew I could easily run 21 kilometers in under 2 hours and expected to be able to run 42 kilometers in under 4 hours. Everything went according to plan up to kilometer 21, where Ollie cheered me on from the side of the road. I was running at a pace of just under 5 minutes 40 seconds and had run for about 1 hour and 57 minutes so far. But that's when my downfall began, because shortly afterwards the peacemaker with the 4-hour sign overtook me and I couldn't keep up with him. At the 25 kilometer mark, I began to struggle mentally and physically with the fact that I had never run farther than 21 kilometers before. My pace increased to just about 7 minutes and 15 seconds. That's when my downfall began, and I had to start struggling. Both my toes, my thighs were hurting, and a blister on my heel started to terrorize me. When the pacemaker with the 4-hour 15-minute sign overtook me shortly before the 30 kilometer mark, I knew I would not reach my goal. The famous 30 kilometer mark also brought me to my knees, and from then on, I alternated between jogging, running and walking until the finish line. After 4 hours and 36 minutes, I finally made it to the finish line. I made it out of the stadium on my feet before lying down on the road for a short while. And now you can find out what I learned from the marathon and the aftermath.
K.W.N.
Durchbissen.
Alles gut.
Success is the gradual realization of a desirable goal. This saying by Earl Nightingale is not only a nice saying, but can also be proven by scientific studies. In my book, I write about the happiness hormones, dopamine and serotonin. To better understand the effects of these two hormones, I refer to them simply as short-term and long-term feelings of happiness. And as we heard at the beginning of the video, happiness is, yes, a pleasant and joyful state of mind one finds oneself in when one comes into possession or enjoyment of something one has desired. Let's take an obese woman as an example. On the one hand, she has a desire to lose weight, but on the other hand, she also has a strong desire to eat chocolate. If she regularly decides to not give in to the desire, to the craving for chocolate, but to remain steadfast, she will eventually lose weight and therefore be happy. However, if she decides to eat the chocolate, she will also be happy according to the definition of happiness. The difference is that one decision will lead to short-term happiness and the other to long-term happiness. Dopamine activates the reward system in the brain and is responsible for the short-term feelings of happiness. Serotonin is a feel-good hormone that reduces anxiety and balances mood and is responsible for long-term feelings of happiness. Dopamine is triggered by alcohol, drugs, sex, and sugar, among other things. However, dopamine is by no means a bad hormone. The body produces high levels of serotonin when we see meaning in life. In other words, especially when we have a goal or several worthwhile goals in mind, which we realize step by step. As I said, dopamine is by no means a bad hormone. You can sometimes reach for a chocolate or have a glass of beer. You can also scroll through social media and enjoy the likes you receive. Having sex from time to time is certainly not harmful either. However, there is a risk of becoming addicted to dopamine. And this danger is all the greater the less meaning we see in life and in the activities we pursue. The smaller our goals, the greater the danger. You're probably asking yourself now, What the heck does all this have to do with K.W.N's marathon? In a nutshell, the marathon taught me once again in practice that there is no end, there is no finish line. So my biggest lesson from this marathon is there is no finish line. If one goal is over, set your next goal. If you achieved one goal, set your next goal. Many people study and work their way up until they are in the job they wanted, and then they just vegetate for the rest of their lives. Others train hard once for several months for a marathon and then never pursue a sporting goal again and fall back into their old habits. For some people, the only real goal in life is to start a family and raise children. That's a nice goal that can trigger a lot of serotonin over a long period of time. But once the children have left home and the parents have no other goals in life, the risk of them becoming lethargic or addicted to dopamine is very high. In the last few years, I have achieved the big goal of my dream body. I have achieved the goal of moving to Vienna. I have achieved the goal of competing in an MMA fight. I have achieved the goal of finding a dream job and being successful in it. I have achieved the goal of writing my own book. But in the last few months, I had realized that I was no longer living with the enthusiasm I had in the years before. I was spending more and more time on social media and also reaching for sweets more often than I wanted to. I didn't have a worthwhile goal in front of me that pulled me in its direction, and so I lost myself in dopamine addictions more than I wanted to. Realizing this, I set myself the goal of running another half marathon. A totally lame goal, as I could run a half marathon at any time on the spur of the moment. That's why I came up with the idea of running a marathon. A goal that I had respect for, that I had to work hard for, and whose achievement was uncertain. Achieving this goal motivated me so much that I now set an Ironman as my next goal. I'm going to do an Ironman with an iron mind. 3.8 kilometers swim, 180 kilometers bike ride, and 42.192 kilometers of running. What is your next goal? Let me know in the comments. And remember, there is no finish line. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time. I'm out.